My daughter-in-law looked me dead in the eyes at my own kitchen table. The table I'd built in 1987 with white oak I milled myself, and said, "You're a broke old man living off our generosity. And it's time you accepted that." She said it in front of my grandchildren, my neighbor, Hank, and my son, Kevin, who just sat there stirring his coffee like she'd commented on the weather. So I did exactly what she wanted. I nodded, picked up my coat, and let her believe she'd won for exactly 93 days. On day 94, she walked into attorney Richard Baldwell's office on Sycamore Street expecting to finalize a property transfer, and instead heard 4 words that made her legs give out. "You have no claim." But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I go any further, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Hit that like button if you've ever had someone underestimate you. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that now because this one's going to stay with you. My name is Harold Myers. Most people call me Hal. I'm 71 years old, born and raised in Clarksburg, West Virginia. I've been a diesel mechanic since I was 19. Started at Cumberland Valley Truck and Engine in 1974, straight out of the Army with grease already permanent in my knuckles. Retired from that same shop in 2016 after 42 years. Same bay, same toolbox. Now let me tell you about Lorraine, because none of this makes sense without her. I met Lorraine Duffy at a church cookout in Nutter Fort in 1977. Married her September 16, 1978. 44 years I had with that woman. 44 years of her humming in the kitchen, leaving notes in my lunchbox. Reading westerns in bed until I fell asleep to the sound of turning pages. She's the reason I built the house. We were renting a place on Elm Street when Kevin was born in 1981. Bad plumbing, a landlord who took 6 weeks to fix anything. One night, Lorraine looked at me and said, "Hal, I don't want to raise him in someone else's walls." That was all she had to say. I bought the lot at 412 Richmond Lane in March of 1986. $6,800 cash. Drew the plans myself on graph paper. Broke ground that April with my buddy Gerald Fisk and 2 guys from my shop. I framed the walls, ran the electrical, put up every sheet of drywall with Lorraine holding them steady. We moved in December 3, 1987, paid off the construction loan in 2004. Lorraine framed the paid-in-full letter and hung it next to the front door. It's still there. That house is my hands. That house is her planning. Every overtime shift, every busted knuckle, every Saturday I could have been fishing. Lorraine died on March 14, 2022. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. 7 months from diagnosis to the end. I was holding her hand in our bedroom when she took one breath, and then didn't take another. Grief makes you blind, makes you soft in places you can't afford to be soft. Kevin called 2 weeks later, said he and his wife Danielle wanted to move in. "Just temporary, Dad. Just until you're back on your feet," I said yes before he finished the sentence. At first it was fine. Danielle cooked dinner. Kevin mowed the lawn. The grandkids filled the house with noise again. But then things shifted. Danielle replaced Lorraine's curtains without asking, started handling my mail, bought a pill organizer and began filling it herself. "Just making sure you don't miss a dose, Dad." She started calling me Dad. It felt warm at first, then it started to feel like a leash. I am not senile. I can rebuild a Cummins ISX engine from memory, but Danielle was building a story one where I couldn't care for myself. Every kind gesture was a brick in a wall that looked like love from the outside but felt like a cage from my within. Then in December 2022, I found it a brochure in the kitchen junk drawer, wedged under takeout menus. Sunset Pines Assisted Living, Beckley, West Virginia, 2 hours from everything I know. My name was already on the intake form, in Danielle's handwriting. I put it back exactly where I found it. Walked out to the back porch, sat in the cold for 45 minutes without a coat, and I heard Lorraine's voice, clear as a church bell. "Don't you dare let anyone take what we built." I didn't sleep that night. Lay in my bed staring at the ceiling while Kevin and Danielle murmured down the hall. I couldn't make out words. Didn't need to. The tone was enough planning tone. Efficient, like I was a task on a list. I decided to wait, watch, see how far she'd take it. She took it far. January 8, 2023, Sunday dinner. Danielle had been cooking all afternoon. Pot roast, Lorraine's recipe, pulled from the recipe box on the windowsill without asking. She set the table for 7 using Lorraine's wedding china. Me, Kevin, Danielle, the kids, Hank Purcell from next door, and Donna Peterson from 3 houses down. Witnesses? I didn't realize that's what they were until it was too late. We sat down, ate, talked. Hank told a story about a deer in his garage. The kids picked at green beans. For 20 minutes it felt like home again. Then Danielle set her fork down with precision. "Ha said, Dad, Kevin and I think it's time to have an Honsreer." The table went quiet. She told the room I'd been struggling, forgetful. "Medication?" She looked at Hank, then Donna, like she was addressing a jury. "This house is too much for him. Kevin and I can't keep carrying the financial burden of maintain while also taking care of him." Financial burden. The house has been paid off for 140 annually. I have a pension, savings, and 200 insurance in life insurance I haven't touched. The burden she described did not exist. She invented it in real time with the confidence of someone who'd practiced in the Miro. She mentioned Sunset Pines, called, "It's wonderful, popple your age." Then she put her hand on mine and said Kevin and I could take care of the house properly. Protect your investment. Kevin stared at his plate, stirring his coffee, that spoon going around and around. "Kevin," I said, "you got something to say?" He cleared his throat. "Dad, Danielle's right. The house needs work. The roof, the furnace, we think, Danielle cut in, and her voice found that edge, "that you need to stop being stubborn. You're 71. You're alone. You can barely take care of yourself." Hank's jaw tightened. Donna had tears forming. "Lie towing away?" Nobody answered her. Then Danielle leaned back, crossed her arms, and "Hal, let's be honest. You're a broke old man. Livy's time you accepted that. This isn't your decision anymore." Kitchen clock ticking. The one Lorraine bought at a yard sale in 1993. Something in me went very quiet, very still. Like the moment before you turn a wrench and know exactly how much torque to apply. I pushed my chair back, stood up. "All right, I'll think about Sunset Pines." Danielle blinked. She'd expected a fight. I could see the counter-arguments dying behind her eyes. Then she smiled, poured herself wine celebration. I walked to the bedroom, took the fireproof lockbow key taped under the dresser drawer, same as always, deed insurance policy, marriage certificate, discharge papers, Lorraine's sealed letter, all there. I tucked it under my arm and walked past the dining room, where Danielle was laughing and Kevin was clearing plates like nothing had happened. Hank was at the front door, coat on, coming to my "Yeah, Hank." We drove in silence through Clarksburg, past the Strains' grave. Finally Hank said, "That woman is trying to steal." "I know. What are you gonna do?" I held the lockbox on my lap. "Make a phone call." "To who?" "Gerald Fisk, my army buddy. The lawyer. Retired. But he'll know someone." Hank nodded. "Then, whatever you need, I'm in." That night, in Hank's spare bedroom, I opened yellow legal pad paper. Shaky handwriting. The last paragraph said, "Don't you dare let anyone take what we built. Not with a smile. Not with paperwork. Not with guilt. That house is yours. Fight for it like you fought for me." I folded it, closed the lockbox, picked up Hank's hadn't used in 30 years. 3 rings. "Hello? Gerald. It's Hal Myers. I need help." A pause, then, "Tell me everything." Gerald Fisk listened to every word. Didn't interrupt once. When I finished, the line was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Hal, your house is in your name only. Always has been. No joint title with Kevin. No transfer on death deed. No power of attorney filed anywhere. None." "Then she's got nothing. But that doesn't mean she won't try to create something. I'm calling Richard Baldwell first thing Monday. He's in Morgantown, Sycamore Street, sharp as they come. Handles elder exploitation cases. You're going to like him." Monday morning, Gerald drove me to Baldwell's office himself. Richard Baldwell was maybe 55, gray at the temples, firm handshake, no small talk. He reviewed the deed, confirmed the title was clean, and said 3 words that put steel back in my spine: "You're fully protected." Then he laid out the plan. First, a formal title lock filed with the Harrison County Clerk. No sale, no transfer, no lien could touch 412 Ridgemont Lane without my notarized signature, witnessed by Baldwin account at Mountain State Credit Union in Fairmont, 22 miles from Clarksburg. I moved everything. The pension deposits, the savings, Lorraine's $200,000 life insurance payout. Total, $214,600. Danielle had bail held $11. Third, a revocable living trust naming Megan and Caleb as sole beneficiaries. Kevin got nothing, not out of hatred, out of necessity, because Kevin had chosen his side, and his side was actively trying. Baldwin charged me $3,200 for everything. I paid LD accounts. Then came the hard part, playing dead. I stayed at Hank's house but visited Kevin, and Dan showed up looking tired. Wore the same shirt 2 days in a row, let Danielle remind me to take my pills. Nodded when she talked about Sunset Pines, said things like, maybe you're right and I'm just so tired, honey. Every word, but I watched her get comfortable. Watched her stop being careful. She started spending money. New furniture for the living room, my living room, a $4,800 deck built onto the back of the house. Without a permit, she told Kevin they should update a listing. She said it like the house was already hers. Week 6, she changed the locks. Didn't tell me. I showed up for Tuesday dinner and my key didn't work. She answered the door, laughing. Oh, Dad, sorry we upgraded the security maid. She never did. Week 9, I overheard her on the phone with Somo about comparable sales on Richmond Lane. 3-bedroom, quarter-acre, needs cosmetic work. What do you think, 280, 290? Week 11. Hank's daughter-in-law worked at the county clerk's office. She called Hank one evening and said someone had filed a power of attorney document for a Harold R. Myers. I called Baldwell. He pulled the filing the next day. Danielle had forged my signature on a durable POWI as my legal agent. Filed it February 27, 2023. The signature wasn't even close. She'd used a shaky hand, trying to make it look like a frail old man had written it. She thought that would sell the story. 2 days later, a realtor named Pam Dwyer from Senate Baldwell's office to verify clear title on 412 Ridgemont Lane. She had a signed listing agreement, signed by Danielle, using the fraudulent POA. Baldwell told Pam the property was legally frozen. Pam pulled out immediately. Then Baldwell called me. Hal, she filed a forged power of attorney and used it to list your house for sale. That's a felony. 2 felonies, actually, forgery and attempted either financial exploitation today. Or I can wait. Your call. I sat in Hank's kitchen, looked at the lockbox on end stirring his coffee. Thought about Megan asking if Grandpa was going away. How much more rope do we give her? I asked. She's already hung herself. Hal, every document is filed, time-stamped, and notarized. The realtor will testify. The clerk's office has the forged POA. If we wait longer, she might time it could be harder to unwind. Then don't wait. You're sure? I thought about Lorraine's letter. Fight for it, lie. I'm sure, but I want to be there when she finds O. Baldwell was quiet for a second. Then I can arrange that. Baldwell sent the letter on a Monday, March 20th, 2023. Addressed to Kevin and Danielle Myers at 412 Ridgemont Lane. My address? On an envelope they opened thinking it was theirs. The letter invited them to his office that Friday, at 2 p.m. for estate planning finalization regarding the property and trust of Harold R. Myers. Formal language? Official letterhead. Danielle probably read it and smiled. Hank drove me to Baldwell's office an hour early. I wore my good flannel, the green one Lorraine bought me for Christmas 2019, freshly shaved, back straight. I didn't look like the tired old man who'd been shuffling into their house for Sunday dinners. I looked like myself again. Baldwell had everything arranged on the conference table. 2 folders, one for the facts, one for the consequences. They arrived at 2:04. Danielle walked in first. Black blazer, heels, hair blown out. She looked like she was closing on a house. Kevin trailed behind in a wrinkled polo, hands in his pockets, eyes on the floor. Same posture as that Sunday dinner. Some men shrink beside their wives. My son had disappeared entirely. Danielle saw me and hesitated. Just a flicker, then the smile came back. Dad, good to see you. Virginia Code, February 29, 61. I strongly suggest you retain counsel. Danielle stood up. Chair scraped the floor. This is you can't, we were helping him. You were stealing from him, Baldwell said, calm, final. She looked at me, searching for the confused old man. The shuffling, tired, agreeable version she'd built in her mind. He wasn't that. You have no claim, I said. That's when her legs gave. She grabbed the table edge. Kevin reached for her arm. She slapped his hand away. They left without another word. 6 weeks later, Danielle was formally charged. Her attorney negotiated a plea, 18 months probation, $12,000 restitution paid to me, and a permanent restraining order from my property. She took the deal. Kevin filed for divorce 4 months after that. I don't know where he's living now. He called once, I didn't answer. I moved back into 412 Ridgemont Lane on March 28th. Changed the locks myself. A new Schlag deadbolt, brass finish. Hank helped me repaint the kitchen the color Lorraine always wanted, but we never got around to. Sage green, soft like early spring. The grandkids come on Saturdays now. Megan's 12, Caleb's 9. We make pancakes and I let them pick what we watch on television. The trust is set, the house is protected. The letter is back in the lockbox on the top shelf of my closet, exactly where it belongs. I sit on the back porch some evenings and look at those sugar maples. They're leafing out now. Gold will come in October. And I think about what Lorraine said, fight for it like you fought for me. I did, sweetheart, I did. If you made it to the end of this one, you already know. A quiet man isn't a weak man, he's just a man who hasn't decided to move yet. Like, comment, subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and I'll see you in the next